to record. Wonderful. So welcome everybody to the first class of Sekhem Level 1, which will be taught by our beloved Brooke Ron and hosted by Roop today. And before we get into that, I'd love to just have a very quick little check-in. Just a couple more people arriving. So yeah, I would love to invite a very quick check-in, and we'll go around, and maybe whoever goes can nominate the next person. If you could just share 3 words to describe how you are in these moments, that would be really wonderful. So I'm going to go first, and I'm feeling very relaxed and grounded, and I'm very excited in this moment. So I'll pass on to Kate.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Kate.
It's great to be here. I've just had a hornet come into the room, so that's why I'm like running around a lot. There's a hornet about this big,
Wow.
and I thought, oh, I would let you sit in here with me, but I just felt like he would distract me while I was talking, so I've guided him out of the room. But no, it's great to be here with you all, and I'm sending you lots of midsummer sun from this part of Sweden. We're pretty much entirely in daylight now, and the sun barely sets, so it's a really like surreal time of year. And yeah, it's difficult to get up at the crack of dawn at this time but when you go to bed at night, you have to really block out all of the light from the windows, and there's always a little bit that comes through, and then when the sunrise comes, I'm like, oh no, a bit more sleep, please. So it's been a difficult time for the sunrise, getting up with it, but yeah, it's a beautiful time of year, and sending you all lots of love, and yeah, excited to be here today.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Would you like to nominate somebody to go next?
Yes, I will nominate Raquel. Are you there?
Hello. I am here. I'm having my dinner. That's why I'm hiding behind, but I'm here. Yeah, I'm feeling, on some level, I'm feeling a little bit rushed. I didn't plan my day to have a spaciousness. And I was just thinking, I like spaciousness. I need to plan my days a little bit better. I'm also feeling really excited to be here with you all, and to, yeah, hear more of Brooke's medicine, wisdom. And also, I am just enjoying this meal. Yeah. And I pass it to Shannon.
Hello, everyone. It's my birthday today, so that's how I'm feeling. I feel a lot of love. I feel very aligned in my purpose, and I feel very grateful to be here, and especially to see Natasha and Roop, who I miss and who are just such dear friends, and you too, Brooks, and excited to connect and get to know you all a little bit better.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. I'd love to pass on to Saima.
Hey everyone. Oh, it's really good to be here and connect with you all. Sorry, I had someone at the door, so I had to go off and I missed a little bit at the beginning, but I'm here now. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm really excited for this session that we've got. It's going to be juicy. I can feel it. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like, life is just like, there's um, I don't know, there's an unknown and a knowing all at the same time. So just meeting that, being with that, like being okay with all of that, like, you know, so yeah, just being with all of that at the moment. Just riding those grooves. But
Excellent.
yeah, we've got the sun shining today, so it's feeling good. And we've not had enough of that, so it's nice to indulge in some of that sun energy today. Thanks. I'll pass it on to Melanie.
Hi there. I'm not going to be on video,
All
but
good.
yeah, that's okay. See my picture?
Yeah.
Um, okay. I am grieving and I feel like I'm in a daze. My cousin died yesterday, so he's only 59. So it's been like a lot of tears and just like shock. And yeah, just really sad. And so yeah, it's been rough, but happy to be here and happy that I have a way to be well because it was addiction and I just feel like it's so rampant. And yeah, I'm just really happy that I am on the path of wellness here in good community and yeah, so that's how I'm feeling.
Good choices. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Sending blessings to
Yeah.
you and to your family, and of course to your cousin on his transition back home, my dear. Say some prayers for him today, for them today.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Would you like to nominate somebody?
Uh, Christina?
Hi guys, how are you?
Excellent.
I'm feeling blissful, if that's the word. Just real like calm. Because like I attend the mystery school, and this weekend we had our or the weekend just passed, we had our emergence. So like I've like been like astral traveling like 72 hours straight. And so just getting a lot of oracular like information. So I don't know, today when I got up, even though I went to bed at 4 a.m., um, I just had this sense of like, what's it like, freedom. So I'm calm, I'm cool. And I'll pass it to Sima.
I think Simon's been already. There's
Oh, let me see.
Siobhan, Aaron, Roop, and Brooks left.
Oh, I've been as well.
Haven't been yet.
Okay, Brooks.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
3 words that describes the moment: present, conscious, and peaceful. That's how I feel right now. Excited. I got many more, but yeah, those ones are in my awareness right now. So it's a pleasure to be with you all and to share and to learn from each and every one of you. So thank you.
Who would you nominate next? We've got Roop and Siobhan and Aaron left.
Aaron.
He could also be working at the
Yeah,
same
he may not be in a position to
Yeah.
speak, so
Oh, okay.
was
There we
doing-
go. So Aaron is intuitive, telepathic, and present.
Yeah.
And
he would
aware of the conversation. Excellent.
he would have replied by now if he was there.
yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Okay, Roop, take over. There you go.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm feeling quite focused. Yeah. Centered, concentrated. Ready to help Brooks pass on the knowledge today. I think that's where my brain and system is at. I'll pass it on to Siobhan.
Figured out how to unmute myself this time. I am feeling very energized. It's been really overcast in London where I am this week, particularly today. And just about half an hour before this session, the clouds lifted and the sun appeared. So I'm thrilled. Yeah. And I guess what else am I feeling? I'm feeling very, very rested, kind of settled into this lovely routine, and which is unusual for me. And yeah, just very grateful to be here with all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Ooh, is that everybody?
Yeah, that's everybody. Aaron said, I'm in a noisy lunchroom, definitely intuitive, telepathic, and present.
Gotcha.
Great. So, let's see. You should have the both of us pinned side by side. Okay.
Ooh.
It's
So, we're going to go into about an hour of content, and then we'll take a break for around about 12 minutes. And then we'll come back for a 45-minute session, and we'll finish off with a short meditation before we leave. So it's a 2.5-hour session today. Great. Take it away, guys.
Okay.
in a way.
Okay, just give some context first. So we have Brooks today giving us some really good, granular, specific information about the language of energy. And the context of this with Sekhem is the Sekhem teachings are quite spiritual and ancient lineage wisdom based. And there are what me and Natasha felt are a few gaps in terms of specificity. And so over the past few years, as we've got to know Brooks and the quantic teachings, this perfectly filled in the gaps where the Sekhem teachings were still kind of left open for interpretation. And also they've been purposely, we feel, left for an individual to grow with the modality as they experience it and as they become more aware of the energy itself. So this combination is perfect, and as we've been practicing it over the past few years, we've come to realize that the Sekhem channel and the quantic medicine teachings are perfectly intertwined. So hence today we have Brooks giving us the groundwork of what energy is, the language of energy, how to speak about it, how to be specific about it. And these are some of the things that we feel are missing in the way that we talk and we learn about energy. So these aspects are going to be very, very specific, and we'll try and do our best to make sure that we lay it out in a nice way that everyone can understand it. And if anybody has any questions, please make a note of them. And just before we go to the break, after the language of energy section, then Tom, Brooks and I can try and answer anything that we can. Yeah? Anything else I missed?
I think that's perfect.
Okay, so let's get on with it, Brooks.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So the language of energy. Let's just start at the ground here. Just that term, language of energy. What do we mean? What are we talking about?
Well, give it some grounded connection in English. Is the language of energy is mathematics, and the language of, you could say, the language of spirit, the language of spirit is energy also, and the voice of God is light. So we're basically studying the philosophy and science of light. We express that intellectually through linguistics about energy or mathematics. Since that's kind of boring to look at it in that context, we talk about it and we give it certain symbols. One will be colors, because each color represents a certain specific type of energy. And in the cosmos, as it is on this planet, as it is in this body that we have 7 distinctive charges, different type of electric components that function and power this vessel that we live in. So let me start right there. Most people will know them as chakras. These are types of generators. They're quantic generators. So they basically move particles in waves. And our body has this interface through ether where it takes these electromagnetic radiation from the planet, from the sun, and the planetary influences, and it breaks them down into 7 charges, and it distributes them into these networks we call chakras, or generators we call them, because they generate many different things: sentiments, emotions, feelings, or pulses of molecular activation to process food. It's happening through these energy systems. So when we talk about the language of energy, if we know what type of energy governs the 7th or the 6th generator, and we know what glands and what organs and what cells it controls, then we can kind of bypass a whole bunch of unnecessary guessing about symptoms and kind of go right to the root cause. Now, let me give you an analogy, because I had this at coffee this morning. Somebody was trying to make sense of the same conversation. I said, you're going into a coffee shop and you have you have a refrigerator, you have a coffee maker, you have lights, you have power outlets, and you call in different people to take care of these different networks within this coffee shop. What we do is we bypass all that, because we're in control of the great current that feeds the coffee shop. Without the current that feeds the coffee shop, there's no coffee business. Nobody in there has a job. Nobody gets a coffee. Nobody gets a sandwich. Nobody gets anything to eat. So when we're looking at health and how to run this physical body, we can get really confused when we're thinking, I got 80 symptoms. I got headaches, and I'm tired, and my joints hurt, and my stomach hurts sometimes. My digestion's not so good, and I'm kind of easily upset, and I'm irritable. And there's a list, and everybody can put on there probably 50 to 200 different things on there. And we don't really know what to do with that and where to start. Maybe with a big study, we're confused, especially when we're looking at our own health. It's even harder to work on ourselves, because we get micromanaging these symptoms. With this paradigm of thinking, we go to the network, because that generator controls an endocrine gland and organs and tissues and cells and different processes. So we just go and correct that generator. By that generator, I mean it has a color, so we start meditating on the color, and we start giving that system the foods that resonate with that generator, so we can turn on the electrical system and restore harmony back in the body. So we kind of have a really nice shortcut. So we have twofold things going on here. We have conversation about the biochemical factory that we live in, and we have a conversation about the electrics. So we have foods that provide the molecular power that feeds the 3-dimensional structure, but we also have the electrics that feed the mind and the emotions and the electrical system. And together, when we interface these things together, we can create this state of resonance, equilibrium, and harmony. This is really what we're after, aren't we? We want to feel vital and energetic and enthusiastic about life again, without getting into this self-diagnostic process about figuring what's wrong with us. So we take it in a little different way, that we want to just go and turn the system on, turn the breaker on, make sure the energy is working to the system. If we can get that going, we start to see balance happen in the body. So what I'm going to teach is a real simple language of memorizing 7 different colors, 7 different generators, 7 different systems, 7 different tones. And those are subdivided again, just like your little computer. You hit a tab at the top and it's got 7 drop-down menus, and you hit it again, drops down 7. And we have a system there that's kind of easy to learn from. So what I'm going to share with you is how we can use something like food as energy to electrify this network. We have electrical body, right? The brain's electric, heart's electric, the nerves are electric, the muscles are electric. So we want to make sure that the electrics are going to the network first. Because if they're not there, it's easy to imagine why we're not regulating blood sugar or making insulin or making hydrochloric acid or making bile or moving the bowels. These are all processes that take energy, electrical energy, but what precedes that is where we're going to go. We want to make sure that the body's getting the charge it needs so it can activate all of these metabolic processes so that we can experience these states of resonance, equilibrium, and harmony. When we're there, we got most of the job done. And most of what we're all challenged with is we can't maintain those states. Can't maintain them mentally. We can't maintain them emotionally. We can't maintain them physically. The symptoms are only the signals letting us know there's a network connection problem. And we don't need a medical degree to figure this one out. We only need to know what system these are connected to, what's the food, when do we eat it, and what's the meditation that we, with intention, we activate that system. So we're applying kind of several things, aren't we? We're relying heavily on the power of our attention and intention to direct the spiritual current into the body so that we can heal, but we're also going to provide it with the third dimensional molecules and structure to regenerate this body of ours. We need both. And not many practices have paid attention. They're either predominantly talking about the mind over the body, but they lack the integration of the knowledge about the physical body and the concepts about how the body accumulates energy. Or if they're into the body as an energetic nutritional viewpoint, they lack the spiritual component. So what we want to do is, with the teachings of language of energy and the Sekhem, we want to bring that together and go, how can we integrate these teachings into a cohesive methodology that we can integrate into our lives and just forget about it? Because I mean, ultimately, that's the goal here. Is to just forget about all of this information at a certain point, and we just get on with living and expressing. Right? At this stage, we're in the learning stage, and we're moving to the application stage and the regenerative stage. And after that, it's like you will know enough. You will not have to micromanage and intellectually process what's going on in the body. You're just going to have developed a lifestyle routine and a pattern that's bringing you to the state of equilibrium, harmony, and resonance. And when you're feeling that way, you're highly intuitive. You're highly telekinetic. You have this ability to preconceive things and understand things without studying. It's all happening with those three states. They're electrical states, but they're also states that put in synchronization the mind and the emotions and the physical. And when they're aligned, you have all these access to all of these higher capacities and faculties that you weren't typically getting access to before because there wasn't this electrical integration. The body was in pain, or there was discomfort emotionally. We have challenges in our life because of situations that people express today. And if we don't know how to put them in order and maintain homeostasis, we get stuck overactivating maybe the emotional body or the mental body, and we cause some somatic loops that turn into physical problems. So we're going to share with you some skills so that you understand the process of disease. How does it happen from the mind through the emotions into the physical? And when you see that there's a mechanism there, you can kind of calibrate what's happening in the way that you're perceiving your reality, forming your beliefs, and behaving. And it'll create this sense of confidence in you by knowing this, that you will be able to go, I know how my thinking and my feelings are guiding my behaviors right now, and I need to take control of this. And I have some skills now, right? To get back on the highway, get out of the rhubarb patch and get back onto the highway. Because sometimes we go a little bit out of bounds because the emotional body gets so overcharged, it dominates our behavior, right? Whether it's something challenging, what we're hearing today, or someone's gone into a deep depression, they're lacking the ability to get their vehicle back on the highway again. They don't have the skill. They lost the skill somewhere. So when you understand the stages of disease, or the stages of energy and how it moves, then you can make it kind of a very simple intellectual perspective about energy. Does this make sense so far? So what I'm kind of suggesting is that when we remove the personality away from the conversation temporarily, and we understand the nature of energy and how energy creates universes and cells and structure, we understand that there's a language there in a process. That's how everything's created. When we know that, we can calibrate where we are in the process and know whether or not we're creating a harmonious world for ourselves or a not so harmonious world for ourselves. And then we know what techniques, what foods, what habits, what emotions to nourish, how to nourish them, so we can bring ourselves back into these three states of resonance, harmony, and equilibrium. And I don't want to go any further. I want you guys right now, just, that's a mouthful. I want you to ask any questions that you have quickly, what you don't understand, or where you think this should go for you.
Brooks, I just love what you said at the end there. We need to connect to self, which will basically tell us what to do. So we're learning how to trust our own bodies. And you're making a very clear connection between, let's say I wake up in the morning, 3 mornings in a row, and I have a headache. Before, I would have just gone and taken a Tylenol and crossed my fingers, that it was going to go away. But now with what you're saying, I can look at my headache and go, that's a second generator issue,
right?
And then I can adjust my food or the time I'm eating, or it feels like it's such a clear tool that is almost too simple.
Yes, exactly. It is simple. It's going to sound a little bit obscure and ambiguous now because we don't have a map. I haven't given anybody a map, so they won't have anything to link to at this point. But conceptually, and even intuitively, it's exactly that way. When we need to have some way to calibrate where we are, and we need a ritual, which is your daily practice, what you're learning from Natasha and Roop. You need to have a daily practice where you go inside and you have a way and a methodology of calibrating where you are. And then you need a bag of tricks to know how to bring yourself back in alignment. And you need to practice that and integrate that into your lifestyle. And then you won't have to go through these big mood swings or these big blood sugar swings or these big emotional swings or physical swing. You will minimize. This is like a big loss of energy, isn't it? If the closest directions between these 2 points, they say a straight line, we want the minimal amount of movement between those points to be efficient, don't we? If we're going like this in a car or with energy, it's going to take more energy to get from one point to the other, correct? If we're vacillating in our food, I'm eating, I'm not eating, I'm overeating, I'm undereating, I'm not drinking water. If you're doing this emotionally, if you're doing this mentally, you can imagine there's a massive demand of energy to maintain homeostasis. So what we want to do is learn how to be more efficient with what we got. Whatever we got to be efficient with it, right? Whatever money you got to be efficient with it. Whatever amount of energy you got in the morning, maybe you didn't sleep, you have to know to preserve and conserve that energy to get the job done and not be bankrupt at the end of the day. So we're going to take these kind of spiritual principles and concepts and put them into a grounded way in the physical world, so you can go, oh, I know I'm not got headaches. I didn't even drink water for 2 days. Well, maybe that has something to do with it. Or I'm not getting enough live food and I'm eating a lot of processed food. Oh, maybe that's why. I mean, it can be quite simple sometimes, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, I just want to take it back a couple of steps. So Tom, it's all about, I mean, Brooks, it's all about the art of living. Yeah, we've got
Correct.
equilibrium, rhythm, and harmony. And these are the three aspects to achieve, to get into this balanced, healthy state. So I just want to take it back to the language of energy. And the next step of that is specifying the type of energies that are available to us on planet Earth and how we access them, whether it's through meditation, sun gazing, sunrises, and food. So also I want you to break down what does nutrition actually mean when you equate that to energy.
Okay, good, thanks. Let's look at this conversation. The difference between nutrition and nourishment. Okay, there's the two different concepts. Nourishment is what the body needs. Nutrition is a mathematical representation of a potential, isn't it? Like, oh, that chicken has 40 grams of protein. It's not in us yet. That's the nutritional value. That's the potential of it. But the bottleneck of that into the body is we have to be able to digest it, assimilate it, convert it to another form of energy and build structure, correct? So it's not ours yet, just because it's on the label. Like, oh, I ate 40 grams of proteins. Congratulations. Did you convert it? Why it's so important to calibrate is because I got headaches every morning. If you oversaturated that protein, thinking I need more protein, and you got headaches, maybe you're taking too much protein and not processing the protein. And the headache is a result of an over-dominant saturation of that thermic charge that protein has. It has a specific type of energy called thermic electrics, which creates expansion and growth and heat, and it governs the first generator, the reproductive system, the vagina, the penis, and men. It's the powerhouse of the base generator. If you oversaturate that charge, then you might find inflammatory type symptoms. Oh, I'm really hot. Or I got eczema or psoriasis, or I got hemorrhoids or varicose veins. Heat type disease, as they would call it in Chinese medicine, but they're inflammatory states by too much thermic energy coming into the body. Oversaturation of one charge of the 7 charges. So when you learn this, you start to go, so there's a methodology to say, yes, we need equal balance of these 7 charges to maintain homeostasis. If we start overloading a couple, like some people, I only eat carnivore. It's like 1 charge. What about the other 6? Right? Get a problem. Maybe not now, maybe not in 10 years, maybe not in 20, maybe at some point there will be a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn what you spoke about is nutrition is something we use as math to measure the value of food coming into the body. Calories, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, all that dialogue. Nourishment is what we need in order to regenerate new structure. We get 80% of our nourishment from the environment, from the sun, from the air, from the land under our feet, and from water. That's 80% of what we are is coming from there. We're 70% water. There's your first clue. The water didn't get there because of food. So if we look at those, that's an important distinction for us to really lock in our head. It's like, we got to be outside to capture energy. And the Sekhem and the teachings of the past, they called it worshiping the sun gods. Why? Because they wasn't the god sun. It was the understanding that the sun was like God because it provided life. And on this planet, without light, we don't have much of anything, do we? So that's the relationship of the teaching, which you're the experts in, I'm not on the Sekhem. So, but the general concept is the sun is the force. It's God-like. Yes, it is. It is. In this dimension, we need that. If you take that away, there isn't life. We're just breaking it down and how we can use that knowledge more granularly and apply certain things to our life to create more energy, which is more light, isn't it? We're light beings compressed into mass. That's more advanced, but we'll talk about in the future. That's just basic physics. But right now, does that resonate with you guys? The difference between being nourished is a state of being. Nutrition is not a state of nourishment. It's a thing you use to qualify or quantify something that's going to nourish the bodies. So we'll talk more about that and more how to distribute that in detail, but that's the general overview.
So Brooks, like nutrition is the vehicle that allows the electricity to come into the body. And then it's the body which then has to go through many processes which are using electromagnetism, various energies to pull the nutrition apart, to break it into its building blocks, which are ionic, cationic. Can you go a little bit into how that breakdown of, first you talked about we need to have 80% of the environmental energy. That energy also is coming into our food sources. So that's helping the plants and the meat and everything grow and capture that energy from the sun. And then we're going to eat that, and then we only capture 20% from eating it. But so 80% is happening from the sun to the ground. Can you just break down how the food is capturing that energy, and then the process of how we are then capturing it? So there's two stages. There's one, it's environment, the stuff we eat, the animals we eat, and then what's going on inside us for us to lock that into our generators and assimilate it. Can you break those two things down?
Good questions. You've been studying. That's good.
Good teacher.
Yes, we are converting light. We're taking light, right? We're taking light, which light hits a plant, and the plant converts that into chlorophyll and sugars and carbohydrates, right? And then one source, and then the ether source, and then the root source from the earth. The gravitational force is coming up through the root system and switching the minerals, right, as a food source to bring it to the leaf to convert with sun into energy. What we would say stored as chlorophyll. The blood of the plant is chlorophyll. It's exactly the same in the human, only reverse cycle. Like one being nocturnal and one being non-nocturnal. It's the same thing. We breathe in oxygen, the plant breathes in carbon dioxide. So there's a symbiotic relationship. We're both functioning metabolically the same, but in reverse order, basically. The feeding cycle is opposite in a plant than a human, but symbiotic. So we're basically eating the leaf of a plant. What are we releasing? Science would say, you're releasing, sugars and minerals. They say you're releasing. What are sugars and minerals? And you mentioned it. Anions and cations basically describe the electrons in what direction they spin around the nucleus of a molecule. That's what they describe. An anion has a clockwise rotation and a certain density, and a cation has the opposite charge with a counterclockwise rotation of electrons around the nucleus. Think about it like that. When those two things come in proximity, because of a law of physics, there's a differential between the polarities of those two, like man and woman, and that energy that's created is magnetism. One spinning clockwise and one spinning the other direction. So when they come close together, they create a magnetic field. That's what pulls apart your food. You can call it stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, but at the base of that, those chemicals, what is the base of a chemical? A molecule. What is a molecule? It's got a nucleus and it's got anions and cations. And that's creating the electromagnetic field that's pulling apart the structures of mass, and then it's distributing those charges to other locations and repackaging them and collecting minerals and proteins and putting them together as a package, and then going to make a liver cell or a hair cell or a nail, or there's a process there. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to show the relationship that you are taking in light and releasing light into a light body. You have a dense body that wants the molecules, and the light body, the emotional body, you can't touch it. You can feel it, but you can't touch it. So it's a light body. It's called a subtle body, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got operates in a different bandwidth of frequencies than the dense physical body.
Mhm.
And then you have a causal body, the seeds of cause, like the impulses that you have, those sentiments, and how you create a situation. That's another body, finer, more subtle body in a different bandwidth, right? Then you have another body, a mental body, the mind. So you can imagine the little Russian dolls, they separate, they go back together. It looks like one, but you pull it apart and there's 10 of them. That's what we have. We can't see the etheric or subtle bodies with the physical eyes. That's all. They're there. So what we're trying to do is nourish all of the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And when we eat certain foods at certain times, we literally electrify not just the physical body, but we stabilize the relationships of the subtle bodies with the physical body. We align them and we synchronize the timing of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's the generators, which are the mechanism which is connecting everything together, isn't it?
Correct.
They're at the core in those 7 regions. They're linking all those bodies across. And so
right.
when
They're
eating,
right. They're
yeah,
subatomic. They're subatomic, meaning they're taking waves of energy and particles and distributing them and organizing them into specific charges and electrifying a system and a network, providing the electrics for a whole bunch of processes to happen.
Yeah.
Now, the cell doesn't know what to do and where to go without the electrics. It needs the programming, doesn't it? It needs to know what to do and when to do. How does it know what to do it in chemistry? I mean, they can't answer that. They don't really know. They just it just happens. It's like, well, it happens like billions of them a second. It's a pretty huge orchestration of billions of processes. Like what does that is the solar timing, which is the relationship of the Earth and the Moon and the planets have a relationship. Mm-hmm. And that information, electromagnetic radiations, signals a generator to come on like a red light at a stop sign and say, traffic goes forward. And you guys stop. And it activates a network and it performs, lets cars go to certain destinations and the workers to go in the buildings and do certain jobs. That's how cells work. They get a green light, they go, and they go into a system or an organ and they regenerate and do a job. And then it's 5 o'clock, the bell goes off and they go home. The same thing's happening in you, but it's happening electrically first, and then it happens structurally next. And so the synchronization of how we move cars and traffic and goods is very important, and the synchronization of how we move energy and cells to regenerate new body parts is very important. So we want to look at that model, that teaching, and respect the natural laws of creation and implement it into our lifestyle so that we can run a tight ship, a profitable business.
Have you got a question?
Yes, actually, I do. I just I wanted to come in there just for a moment and just share and just kind of just summarize this for a moment. So we've talked about light. We are essentially accumulating energy through eating food, and you've talked about how the sunlight and the minerals of the earth combine together, how we extract that. This is very much a whistle stop tour, and we of course go much deeper in this in the subsequent classes that we do, or the subsequent levels that we do. We're just trying to give everyone a bit of an overview here. But we've talked in that general sense about how that comes together and how we then essentially will extract that energy through the electrical processes that happen internally. Now, this is really interesting because I trained as a naturopath, and we were trained to see everything just as biochemistry. And I think that that's one thing in general mainstream science that we're sort of trained, our belief systems are trained, that everything is to do with the biochemistry of the body. So what we're saying here is that our default thought processes should really be to consider our electrical functioning before we think about the biochemical functioning. That's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying here?
I'm saying that is energy first, structure second.
Yeah.
Everything that's created in this universe was because of energy first and structure second. So we have to pay attention to the order, rhythm, and timing. This is the next fundamentals of creation. In order for anything to be successful, I think we said that last class, you have to adhere to their laws. And I gave everybody a challenge. I said, think about them and watch them in your day. Order, rhythm, and timing. If you violate any one of those three, you're not going to see resonance, equilibrium, and harmony, are you? You can't, because the goods aren't getting there on time. There's not going to be a stable environment. It's going to be chaos, won't be harmonious. So exactly what I'm saying is that there's a hierarchical order to this body, and is highly organized and synchronized. When we learn how that works and we fall into line and adhere to these laws that exist in the cosmos or in the microcosm, we're going to see the disappearance of symptoms, because we're going to be in the state of harmony, equilibrium, resonance. We're going to be the light vessel, right? Once we got the conduit open, we can pour in the light, can't we?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what we're doing. We're basically aligned so we can bring in more light. What's light? Intelligence. What's intelligence bring in? Vitality or longevity or the ability to not age. Who knows where that goes? But we can tell that everything has to be efficient in order to be sustainable, doesn't it?
And so continue now with your teaching on what the circadian rhythm or what the solar clock is actually doing to this being.
Okay. As soon as the sun comes over the horizon, you could actually see it. The sky looks almost violet, doesn't it? That violet charge we can measure, because it's photons moving through space, and it's called a spectrometer. It'll measure the spectrum of light. We use it in drug testing. We use it in making drugs for cancer. It's an instrument we use in chemistry. It's used all the time. That frequency of that light is signaling the hypothalamus and the pituitary to release certain chemicals at a certain time. It's code. It's light code. Okay? You need the code to know what to do. Like at home when you're a child, you need to have someone tell you what to do and when to do it. The light, the electromagnetic radiation from the sun, as the light comes over the horizon, because of the way the light moves through space, it's at a certain speed and velocity. That frequency only communicates to a certain system to turn on. Right? The seventh generator. It activates the pituitary. It releases growth hormone. It activates the DNA, the programming of the cell. It's the startup energy for metabolism. It's orchestrating synchronization of going to the bathroom and creating digestion. It's all happening from that signal. And it doesn't matter if your eyes are open or not, because it's electromagnetism. It's moving through your building. It's moving through space and your curtains. So you don't need to be in it, but your body's going to feel that and sense that, and it's going to activate a process. Now imagine disrupting that process. Typically, the body's designed that the sunlight an hour before sunrise, your blood pressure is already going up, and your adrenaline and cortisol is all starting to come up, heart rate, body temperature changing, because you're getting a slow start about an hour before sunrise. Your whole metabolism is changing. Your whole physiology is changing. Your chemistry is changing. You don't know it because you're sleeping, but it's happening, and you can know it because if you got a wearable technology, it'll show you it's happening. So that instruction and that code is happening from light particles moving through you, signaling a whole process electrically and chemically in you. Now, as the sun goes through its phase, the waking phase, about every 2 hours is changing frequency. The light becomes brighter in the sky, but it goes from the purple to the blue, to the luminous charge. That frequency, just like a radio, one plays country and one plays rock and roll. But they're all in that band of frequency, aren't they? You just got to turn the dial and you got a different music. But the radio plays many different types of music. Nature plays many different types of music and different types of frequencies. They all talk to one system and turn it on and turn it off. The solar positioning is activating metabolic processes and the distribution of certain processes chemically in your body. And when it goes into the next phase, it stops that system and turns the next one on. Otherwise, you'd be getting up at 2 a.m, 3 a.m to go to the bathroom. That's not the time you want to go to the bathroom. You want to turn the system off when the sun goes down and recharge and recover and sleep. So this timing is happening because of the circadian rhythm.
So Brooks, what you said there was really interesting. It's the frequency that we're getting at those times, it's a language and it's very specific. That wavelength has the specific nanometers. It has the specific speed of how the peaks and troughs are running. And that's what the generator is feeding from. And so each time and each generator is feeding from a different wavelength energy. Yes?
That's right. It's getting energized. It's getting energized.
Code.
And then
Energized, yeah.
Then it has to distribute its energy at a specific time. But it's grabbing that charge, dividing them and waiting for a signal. And when the sun changes position, it activates one portion where it does something metabolically. Okay. But it also handles emotional load that's not relative to an hour of the day. There's a slight influence, but you can have an emotion at any point in the day, can't you?
Yeah.
So there's many different loads that it handles. Right. But you're right, metabolically around food, it processes in a very sequential order.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good point. So like in the afternoon, you have something stressful come up and you're suddenly forced to think on your feet and concentrate. So you're suddenly activating the need for more purple energy, more orange energy, more third eye energy comes in. And if you say you haven't fed that at that time, that might cause some free radical damage or some extra loose pieces of food materials or energy that doesn't get used because at the sunrise time you didn't manage to get enough of that energy in. Is that correct?
It's correct that your body needs 7 charges every day. And if it doesn't get them, it goes into you got electricity bill, water bill, mortgage, car payment. If you neglect paying one bill or you don't have enough income energy and too much outgo energy in one of the 7 charges, you're going to see depletion, electrical depletion first. And then you're going to notice it in the mind, the way the processing is, in the emotions, the way the stability. We're all going to have challenges, aren't we? But you'll probably notice it's easier to get upset when you're really hangry, when you haven't eaten for 8 hours. So we know that the blood sugar and the chemistry is related to our emotional state, right? These systems are all built in. So we know that when we're getting highly nourished, we can stabilize these kind of demands, because when we have an emotion, it's a heavy demand of energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? If you have a trauma or some bad news and you're in a deep state of sadness or grief, the generator that makes that emotion is fully on. It can sustain that charge for about 45 minutes. And then it's going to have to borrow from its family members, from its counterpart.
From its pairing, yeah.
From its complementary charge. There's a masculine, feminine kind of charge there. It's got another generator that it shares. It basically converts energy. Just like, if you don't have any money, Rope, you're going to, Tasha, I need some money. And then eventually, if you keep on overspending, she's going to go, I've got none left either. And then you go, Dad, Mom, and energy does the same thing. But when you've gone through the whole family network and then the bank and the overdraft and the Visa card and in the retirement program, that's disease stage 4. That's basically disease stage 4.
Financial disease.
You took down all 7 lines of energy flow into the body, right? And then there's no more. You're at bankruptcy, or you're in electrical bankruptcy, which we call disease, cancer, diabetes, the bigger diseases. They're the last stage where you've got complete systemic depletion.
So let's see if I can summarize and see if I've got this right here. If we are not accumulating enough energy for each of the 7 charges, then what can happen is if we're having to utilize those generators, the organs of those generators are having to overwork, or the emotions related to those generators are overworking, or the thought systems related to those generators are overworking, then we may be depleting or utilizing more energy than we have accumulated within those particular generators.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're getting a little more, very good, perfect, but a little more advanced. You may understand it, but some of the students might not. But there's an order most people can relate. When you have a thought, your mind, where you put your attention, right, and intention, depending on how much energy you put into that thought, activates an emotion, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, if you just keep on spinning that same thought form over and over and over and activating the same emotion, you're going to get to a point where there's going to be a depletion in those generators to make the emotional energy you need to have the experience. If you don't stop that and you keep doing that for long periods of time, like days or weeks or months, it becomes a negative feedback loop, a pattern, an unconscious pattern in the brain where everything makes you think of that situation and you have the feeling. And then that's what we call depression, where you keep on spinning around with the same loop. And what's going to happen now is there's no more electrical energy for the organ that needs that charge. And if it's the stomach or the liver, intestines, you start seeing stomach problems and intestinal problems and liver problems. That's because of overthinking and over-emoting with the same type of emotions for a long period of time and not getting enough energy coming into the body to give the organ the energy it needs to function and make acid and process enzymes. It won't have the electrical energy anymore because it was all chewed up with the emotions and the thoughts that stole all the energy for the organ. So the organ isn't the problem. We go, oh yeah, I got a stomach problem or a liver problem or a diabetes. It's not the cause. It's the other mental loops and emotional loops that rob the electrical current to the organ. It's not getting fed. It can't work.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go and try and fix the organ, give it some herbs. Not going to matter. The problem is somatic. It's mental, emotional, then physical. That's the order. And when we know the order, we go, well, we got to straighten out what you do in your work. You got to straighten out your thinking, right? You got to replace your thinking with something that's more emotively exciting to you, that neutralizes that frequency and dissipates it so that you can re-nourish the body and get the body back in balance.
Great. And we will go more into that portion in later on in the program. But for now, we just want people to understand in a general way how we're accumulating energy, how we're grabbing that energy, how we're processing that energy, and how that energy is actually allowing for the functioning of this system. And also recognizing that our being is a little bit more complex than we thought that it was. And so with all of this, we need that energy. We need to grab that energy from the food that we're eating. And we're going to go a little bit more deeply into this after the break, because this is the exciting bit. And we get 20% of our energy from that, correct?
Yeah, about 20%.
About 20%. Now, the other 80% of the energy that we need to accumulate, where is that coming from and how do we accumulate that?
Oh, I can't tell you that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That comes from the environment.
Comes from the environment, yes.
It isn't it wild? It's the freest form of energy, and it's the most demand. Most of the demand is from it, and we're not in it anymore. That's why we see so much disease. No one's in the light. We're not want to be living in the. We talk about the light, but we're not in the light. And I don't mean it has to be sunny. I mean we need to be outside because all of that information and intelligence is out there. It's not inside in non-native blue light and Wi-Fi. It's not inside. So what I'm saying is also you will never heal by thinking food's going to heal you of a disease. Is it important? It is. It's one spoke on the wheel. It's not 80% of the spokes. So 80% of the spokes is literally we're meant to be out living, not inside this much, surrounded by incoherent frequencies. Basically, we have two problems. We're not in the light, and we're in a soup mix of really contaminated environments electrically.
Great, Tom. And just going back to 80% is coming from the environment. Therefore, that's coming from the sun's energy. So I just would like you to, everybody's been shared the eating in time chart. Just so that you know, Brooks, that they've got reference of that. I just want you to break down only just a snippet to go into the 80% that we've got that's come from the sun, those different types of energy in those color bands. So I just want you to just give them the very introductory about what thermic is, what kinetic is, etc., etc.
What are the different 7 charges?
Yeah, there's 7 distinctive charges, and they're represented by colors you'll see in the chart. Okay, and there's an order to the way that energy moves through the day. What charges get activated, which you see on the chart. It'll show the first color is red, and it's called electrothermic, meaning heat. Okay, and it controls the first generator. It fortifies the electrical charges of the first generator, the thermic charge. The thermic charge is found in proteins and fermented foods, some fats and sugar. So molecularly, those are the things you need to provide the molecular structure to regenerate the reproductive system in a human being. Those foods also have the electrical thermic load, the electrics that fortify the reproductive system in humans. And it's activated between 6 to 8 a.m. approximately in the morning. So then at 8, it switches and it goes into, it says a luminous charge, the throat, 5th generator. So it goes from the first generator, activates that, then it switches up here to the thyroid. Sorry, I'm talking thermic. I'm talking the order. I got that. I'm going to confuse you. 7th generator, 6 to 8 a.m. You got on then the chart. I confuse you guys. I was going to go in the order from the bottom. But the first generator is the violet charge or purple charge, and it says coffee. It says coffee, nuts, oils, cacao, chocolate, and seeds. That's what it says in your chart, right? 6 to 8. My mistake.
Yeah, the 7th generator, the violet purple charge is 6 to 8 a.m.
Right, because we're doing the timing. Sorry, I was going
to
do
doing it with, yeah, so just to be clear with you all, that there are 2 orders, 2 ways that we can look at this. We can look at it in regards to the time that the charges are received or output from the sun and that we receive them. So you'll see that on one of the charts. You'll see that on the EIT chart. You'll see it goes from 6 a.m. right through to 8 p.m. and you'll see the order of all of the color frequencies from the sun. So that's why Brooks mentioned purple is first. That's switching on the 7th generator, and we can talk a little bit about that. But then if we go back, Brooks, you were speaking in terms of the order of the generators from the first, which is down at the root, and working your way up the system to the seventh. And we have that on the other chart, on the other spreadsheet. We have it in that order, starting with the first generator, which is the red charge at the root. So please continue.
Okay, so yeah, we won't talk about times, we'll talk about order first, so you memorize the order. Okay, and this will be more important because you'll do in the meditations in the order too. So the first generator, the base is red. Okay, electrothermic is the charge. Then you go to the navel, belly button, and it's green. Electrokinetic is the charge. Okay, the third generator is solar plexus, and it's yellow. Electromagnetic has magnetic charge. Then it goes to the fourth generator, to white, the heart, and it's electroneutral. And then it goes to the throat, the fifth, electroluminous, blue. Then the sixth, electrostatic or distensory, moving out, opposite of magnetic, and is orange. And then the seventh generator, slightly at the back in the crown, and it's violet or purple, and it controls DNA and hormones and things like that. The seventh generator, purple. So that's the order of the colors of the generators. And it is different than anything we've seen online. And it's different because mathematically they're measured in there, and that's the true order. And I don't know why all of those teachings in the past didn't have that or didn't use it. I don't know why. Maybe they interpreted through meditation. Maybe they interpreted the complementary charges, because I notice a lot of the positions, it's just that they have the complementary charge in the heart. They put green, but that's the complementary charge to the white. So that could have happened too. But these mathematically and chemistry, when you interface the frequencies with the chemistry of the generators, it all works mathematically. And the other colors, that they don't.
Great.
Yeah, thanks, Brooks. I just wanted you to introduce and mention the specific types of those charges, because that's what is really the most important part here, is to break down what that 80% from the sun and the environment is. Because in previous teachings, even with Reiki, all the way from 1 to mastership, and before we obviously learned from you, there was no breakdown of this energy. We're just bringing in energy and bringing it into our chakras, and we are, with our intention, doing X, Y, and Z. But now we actually know what types of energy each of those generators are working with, and what they want to be fed with. And this is the crucial key of that's going to take the Sekhem into an advanced modality, is that we are now going to be able to tune in with our intention on very, very specific energies. And with these powers of knowing magnetism, distensory, energy that moves out, energy that moves in, energy that pulls apart, that's going to be super crucial. And I think that's what's going to be really groundbreaking about this form of Sekhem teaching.
Well, completely, because when you're going to work with, whether it's Reiki or learning to sense energy, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to, in order to learn how to run this vessel, you can't just feel it with your fingers, right? And you can intuit, that's one level, but you also have to learn how to sense, which is, in Reiki, you're learning how to sense, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, many levels of sensory input too. There's thermic input, heat, right? You can interpret heat signals. Yeah. You can interpret it movement of particles, like, are the hands coming together or being pushed away?
That's it.
Is it hot or is it cold? Right? Magnetic or distensory? Is it neutral? Is it nothing? Is it kinetic? Does it feel like someone pounding? So these distinctions, you're going to learn how to develop through the meditations, and you're going to learn what foods activate that circuitry, that you can actually start to feel it. Like, I can feel that.
Yeah.
And that's where the that's where your self-empowerment is going to come in, because ideally, don't we all want to be independent so we can heal ourselves? Like we just know, oh, I have a headache. Okay, I know what to do. I know I got lots of tools. I know what to do to the physical to get it back online. I know what to do visually, and I do it, and 30 seconds later, it's gone. And you go, okay, that's cool. Let's move on.
That's what's so exciting, is that we actually have the language now.
We do.
Because it's like we've spent 15 years learning how to detect, how to sense. But
Right.
like you said, heat, electricity, yes, we felt those things, but to take it to the next level, to understand what that actually meant about the patient, about the client, this is where this information is going to really come in. Because I felt electric shocks come off body. I felt heat. I felt pushing. Then try and just use intuition and just like tapping into guides and I don't know, non-local knowledge to try and figure out what's going on with somebody. But now we have this amazing analogies of energy.
We have sharpened our oracular consciousness and our connection to higher self and receiving those messages. And I'm so grateful for that. And it's also amazing to have these actual tools. And I'll just give you one example. There's this kind of general thing that I picked up from just various teachers of like, if I was doing kind of hands-on and sensing energy and I sense some cold, that could be it was this general thing that like healing's taking place, right? And but now understanding what the coldness may be, I might consider the throat. I might consider the fifth generator. I might consider it might engage my thought process around, okay, well, what could be shifting or moving around for this generator? And I may not have my hands near the throat, but I know that generator may be being worked with or activated. And I know that this generator isn't just about the throat. It governs so many other things around the entire body.
Right. Yeah, once we use the color like we talk about animal clothes, you match your shirt and the pants with the same blue alligator. At the beginning, we learn like that. Then later we go, wow, there's way more distinctions, isn't there? Like you feel that, oh, this area is cold. Okay, what's the complementary charge that would work to take that down, bring some heat in it? I'd go, oh, be red. And then I could just question them. Are you eating lots of these foods? No. Are you eating lots of those foods? Yes. Okay. And I go, oh, it's oversaturated of this charge. I'll just use the opposing charge. I'll keep it real simple at the beginning. If you felt too much heat in an area where you have an injury, that typically is inflammation, and you associate it with the color red. It's heat. And you go, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to visualize blue.
That's
it's opposing charge. And then get the person to visualize blue and send it into that area and go, what do you notice? They go, it's gone. I mean, when this happens hundreds and hundreds of times, you go, wow, it's easy. But we need a little bit of language, and then we need a little bit of technique, and then we need a little bit of practice. And then that gains us a whole bunch of confidence that we go, it's real, and it does work that way.
Yes. Beautiful. And just one more thing to mention, which is, and again, everybody, like, this is a whistle stop tour, and we're going to pause in literally a couple of minutes. We're going to take a break, and we'd love for you to prepare your questions, come back, put them in the chat, bring them to the group, and we're going to go into a Q&A round to make sure that we're really getting this. But just one last thing I wanted to pull out. We've talked about having some of the generators be depleted because we're overthinking. We are dropping into states of emotion a lot of the time, and therefore that's impacting that generator and therefore having a physical impact. You've also mentioned this idea of so we talked about oversaturation. So the opposite of that, right, is when we're not getting enough of that specific charge in order for those for normal regulation of our emotions, for for the functioning, of stabilization of the thought processes, and then ultimately the functioning of the body. So that's also something to consider. If we're also not getting enough of that charge for those areas, it's going to potentially make us foggy, sluggish, all of those other symptoms are related to not having enough energy within those generators. So what we're going to be doing in the second part is we're going to be showing you the eating in time chart and giving you an opportunity to see which foods go with which time, which color frequency, in which order. And we're going to have Brooks talk us through that, why that's important. And we're going to have a discussion about moving into a 30-day challenge for us all to journey with this system together.
Excellent.
Great. So we will take a couple, not a couple of minutes, we'll take a 12-minute break, 12, 13 minutes break. We'll come back around about 10 past. It's about 15 minutes. We'll come back at 10 past. Bring your questions and we will go straight into those. Okay. And feel free to drop your questions in during the break as well if you feel to. All right. See you then.
See you soon.
10 past.
10 bells.
I'm just posting my question. I'll be a minute.
Oh, Simon.
Quick, get it in. So there are some incredible questions here, some of which are going to very much guide this Q&A section. So I'm going to pull those ones out. But some of the questions will absolutely be answered in this next portion where we go through the eating chart. So what I will say, I'm going to address some of those ones first to get those ones addressed, and then we'll leave the questions then for this Q&A. So I'm going to start first with Emma, your questions around the charges, its emotional and mental associations, physical associations, and also the way that the charge itself is and works. That information is in the chart, which we shared. Maybe Raquel, maybe you could reshare that because I know Emma came in late. And Emma, you already have the chart because you were on the mentorship and we shared the chart there. So it's that chart, it's a bit updated. So study it, and then in the second class, we can go a bit deeper into that, okay? So I hope that that's okay and that satisfies that for you, Emma. Kate, you asked several questions. We really appreciate that. One of your questions, which is about minerals, feels a little bit more than the scope of this particular class. So we'll save that question and we will endeavor to bring it into the next class, as we are going to go a little bit deeper in the next class.
Yeah, and I said that you might actually be able to figure that out after this class yourself as well, after you take the knowledge.
Yeah. And this is the fun thing about this as well. And this is very much how Brooks also learned, is we figure a lot of this stuff out ourselves. And it's really great because we're like, oh my God, I figured out how that thing works. So keep that question, keep your own note of it, but I also have it here. With regards to Siobhan, your question, we're going to go into that shortly. Kate, your questions, and Melanie, your questions about the food and the timing and the planning of food. We're going to go into those questions now. Sima. Okay. Sima will go into those in the second portion. Okay, and Kate echoing Siobhan's. Okay, great. So let's start with the questions around geographic location. Siobhan asked, with timings in mind, are these adapted according to seasonal and geographical shifts, or are they to be followed specifically?
Yeah, well, whatever location you're in, you have a sunrise. That's approximately 6. Some places you can't count daylight savings and that because they just changed the times. But typically typically 6 a.m. is a reference point for sunrise. And it changes, of course, seasonally a little bit too, but you're going to adjust it. You're still going to be eating within about a 2-hour bandwidth for the first charge and the second charge and the third charge. Those are all about 2-hour cycles. And how maybe this helps. Remember, the higher the frequency, the narrower the bandwidth, right? Like bouncing a ball, basketball, you want the ball to bounce faster. You got to bring that hand closer to the ground so the ball bounces up and down. So the bandwidth on the 7th charge, the purple charge, that's the fastest, highest charge. Coffee, it makes sense, doesn't it? Super high charge. Chocolate, super high frequency. It's moving up and down in a confined space. White is a big wide band, big slow wave. That's why white food puts you to sleep. It neutralizes nerve function, sedates you. So there's a little analogy. So seasonally, of course, things are changing, but you still have the sun coming up. It's the kind of the guide for the cycles, the sun.
So on the chart, I have, so there's 2 charts, as I mentioned below. There's the chart, which is in chronological order of time from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. And then there's a quantic theory chart, which has a breakdown of lots of other things, but that puts the generators in order from 1 at the top down to 7 at the bottom. But if you use that particular chart, you'll see I have included a column H is UK British summer timing. So for those of you in the UK, I have actually calculated it for the UK British summer time. I got ChatGPT to do it and it was very, very, very difficult. So if you do want to do that for your own area, so Kate, for example, you will have to correct it yourself. You'll have to use your own mathematical skills in order to do that.
Just laughing because, okay, are you in, was it Sweden you're in?
Oh yeah, you're Sweden. You're that
perpetual sunrise then. It's just
yeah,
coffee all day, coffee all day.
There you go, exactly. Eat, 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 eat. No,
Really?
that's one of the most challenging environments. And you also have the highest prescription-based antidepressant in the planet in Sweden, right? Because it's quite disturbing to the metabolic circadian rhythm of the body because of the light. It's not going into a dark cycle. So it disturbs. It's a lot of metabolic diseases in those environments because of that, literally. So it's hard to say. Great people that work graveyard shift, they say, well, what do I normally eat? Say, it's called graveyard for a reason, because it leads you to the grave faster than any other particular lifestyle, because you're eating and awake in the dark cycle. And that's when your body needs to be grubbed. That's a modern day concept of making people work at that time, but it's not really the human design. So the compensatory factor is that I would eat in time using 6 as a reference point and stopping eating around 6 p.m. at night of your that's a 12-hour. So you have a 12-hour opportunity or 13-hour opportunity to eat, and then you have a natural built-in 12-hour fast.
Yeah.
So you have a process for the maintenance and repair cycle to happen. And it will be a little bit, that's why the blackout curtain. So it'd be really important for you to make sure that when the sun is supposed to be down, let's say it's like by 8 p.m., that you would really start pulling the curtains on and using incandescent lights or candles and try to get your brain to start coming off of the blue light, because the computer is going to put you back into a daylight cycle hormonally. When you're exposed to the computer, the light temperature tells you your brain is noon. And if it's 10 at night and you're on your computer, you're completely sending mixed signals to your brain. And that causes a lot of sleep issues and metabolic issues and physical issues. So the more that you can use as a reference guide to go, I eat from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. If you stop there, you're not going to have many problems. Yeah. What you're going to have to do in Sweden is you're going to have to ground at 6 a.m., like get out in the light with your feet on the ground to let your body know what time it is cellular wise. It'll help align all there's gene clocks in your cells. It'll help synchronize those.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brooks.
Yeah, and just to add there, Brooks, what you said was awesome, and it's like almost advising Kate to like simulate her own nighttime, so
Right.
that the third eye can actually pick those changes up. So as Brooks was saying there, by 6, actually start to close the curtains a little bit more, a little bit more. Then by 8 o'clock, you slam them shut, and you're going to create your own nightfall, basically.
And get off of all, if you can get off all the
Yeah.
electronic devices, if you're going to use, like people say, well, I watch TV. It's like, well, then try and get a projector and record on your computer and get it offline and project onto a wall. I mean, there's some workarounds here. Candles, incandescent lights, no LEDs, using blue blocker glasses that are made to filter out the blue spectrum. There's some remedies that can be implemented too, for sure, that you'll need.
Great, fantastic.
One of the things that we've spoken about is in the past is Wi-Fi. Now, our pineal gland, which is what induces the chemicals that help us to get into a deep sleep, it also picks up and detects the Wi-Fi or any radio waves really as light. And so one thing is to switch off the Wi-Fi as, you know, after sunset, essentially, to also cut down that interference with our circadian rhythm.
Exactly. That's the best thing. You put on a timer, get a timer from the hardware store and put it on, and it'll, you know, that it comes off and goes on a clock. That'll actually help set a pattern too. And if you're going to go on your computer, because you have to, try and constantly go on airplane mode when you don't need to be connected. Don't just sit in front of it and read stuff when you don't need to have the internet. Just download it onto the computer, disconnect on airplane mode. Always have the Wi-Fi off when you can, the router, and get some things to protect your eyes from the non-native blue light, and that'll help a lot.
So I just have another clarifying question. So you mentioned before trying to eat more 6 to 8, but on the food chart and this might be my mistake and I might just need to make some corrections, but the food chart that I have puts the white charge, which is the final charge of the day. And again, we're going to go through this all, guys, in a moment, but that puts the white charge between 6 and 8. So if you're advocating between 6 and 6, are you saying to kind of have your final meal like at that 6 o'clock mark and to include that last charge of the day and try and not push it really further on into the day?
If you're eating for metabolic disorders and disease, then you get quite strict, right? Like you did. You go eat one charge when it's, you know, it says it's green time, you eat green foods. You don't eat anything else on top of it. If you're into a maintenance cycle and it's not disease specific, then you could have 3 meals a day and you would end around 6, because you can have a natural 12-hour recovery cycle for digestion and recharging of the cells in the dark cycle, and you're not eating. But you had an opportunity to eat 7 meals. If you're still hungry at 8 o'clock at night and you've been eating 7 meals, then you're either a high output athlete under a lot of stress and it's cold. There's other factors here. Like you say, I'm in Sweden. You're naturally going to want more thermic foods. You're not going to want cold green drinks and frozen smoothies like in the Caribbean, because the frequency is different, right? I don't want ice cold smoothies when it's winter here. I eat my fruit at room temperature now, but I don't make cold smoothies and I don't want cold salads and cold green drinks. I have green soups. I do steamed greens. So there's work. Those are more finer conversations, but you guys are all on the right track.
So there are a couple of questions that actually cover what you've just shared there, Brooks. One was around, should we combine different foods or colors or charges or stick to one charge? So just to highlight, if we're dealing with a a condition or a serious set of symptoms that we really want to, that there might be a few signs and symptoms that are kind of coming together. We might be in an intense place with something that we're experiencing with our health or well-being, or even more, we're actually experiencing a stage of a disease. Then what we want to do is go really mono, as Brooks would say, just stick to the foods in that charge. So you do want to get hit each of those charges. And actually, with some of the charges, and we'll go through this in a moment, it can be very easy because it's just like a cup of fruit, or it's a small plate of something that you can just grab from your fridge, or you can grab from your cupboards. Whereas some of the other foods might require more prep and more cooking. So that does require some organization, and we are here to support you with that. And we'll go through that a little bit more. And please, as a community, it's going to be really important that we come up with ideas and we support each other in this. So yes, stick to mono or combined foods if you're in if you're in a maintenance diet, if you haven't got any specific serious health conditions, but you're, of course, optimizing yourself, then you may find combining the overlapping times good for you. Is that right, Brooks?
Yeah, when you're giving person a challenge, 30-day challenges, we're training you to, number one, understand the relationship of the food and the timing. And by eating mono in time, because you're gonna get really granular and you're gonna lock this in your brain. In 30 days, it's unconscious. Right? So the discipline is to try and get those 7 charges separately. Because this is the most challenging it's going to be about eating. And from there it gets easy. But if you can go, okay, I had a coffee and a small piece of chocolate for breakfast. Okay. Okay. After that, I had half a grapefruit, or I had hot lemon with honey for tea. You got the second charge. Then I had a salad. You got it. Then I had a stir fry of mixed vegetables, carrots and broccoli and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you got. Then I had a couple scoops of beans or a little bit of hummus or some lentil soup.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I had dinner. I had some grains. I had some rice. Perfect. You got it all. You got 100%. That was it. And it's pretty easy. A little preparation is very minor. It's actually faster to do this than you would imagine, because you can make some of these things enough for 2 days easy. You make enough rice or quinoa or something for 2 days, and make a big thing of salad that'll last two days. The fruit you cut up. So basically in an hour, you got 14 meals prepped. At least. Even 3 days, it would be 21. And you're going to get all 7 charges a day. Now, what you're going to pay attention to is what happens if I want to lose weight? What happens if I want to gain weight? What happens if it's cold out? What happens? I understand exactly. If I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to stay on the left side of the volume of the food, aren't I? The guy says, I don't want to lose weight, I want to gain weight. Well, then you need more of each charge. It's going to be dependent to the person's requirements, their age, their level of health, their output, the strain of their job, the stress of their life. You have to adjust that according to what you intuit. And if you keep track of how you feel when you eat this way, how you sleep, and your general look of your feel of your clothes, you'll start to be able to sense how to gauge the volume or the amount of food that you're consuming.
Yeah, that's really, really key for me, because I've just gone through a 3-month treatment program with Brooks in Mexico, and I was mono. If you're organized, it's actually fine. But the thing is to remember that we don't need to be eating massive food portion sizes. And when we're hitting all of the charges, actually, I found that I didn't need to have big portion sizes. But what I did find was that intuitively, I wanted to eat maybe a little bit more, like a slightly bigger portion of some of the particular charges. And in reality, those were the charges that actually I had been missing a lot of in the past. And so this is also something to consider at this point. Which of these charges have you been missing at the right time?
Most people will tell you most of them.
Most of them, yeah.
Me too. I was not eating like this. I was eating healthy, but I wasn't in time for sure.
Yeah. Because for a lot of us, okay, great, have coffee first thing in the morning, have a green salad for lunch or some meat at lunch, and, have some bread or some rice in the evening, as part of dinner. So those are typically the ones that we kind of can, we may in the past have been getting at the right time. So this is a really great opportunity to do a little bit of an audit and an inventory. What charges have you been missing? And does that correlate to the chart with regards to any health problems that you've been experiencing, any signs or symptoms that you've been experiencing?
And
Well, that was a
Come on, Brooks.
well executed, because I'll ask this question. You look on the chart and you look at the charge of the legumes, the magnetic charge, and the time. Never mind even the time, just the legumes. Those groups of foods electrify, provide the charge for the stomach and the liver and all the intestines and the gallbladder. So they fortify the circuitry for those organs. How many people have any kind of digestive problem and then go, I never eat those foods?
Yeah, and at that time, yeah.
And especially at that time, even
Yeah,
that they
that's
go,
the
no, I never get that.
Yeah.
I definitely don't get it at the time. And some people go, once in a while I eat that, but I don't know, maybe not. So
Well, a lot of people are eating a lot of people are eating rice and legumes together all in the evening. And so that combination of mixing those two charges is also overloading the digestion. And so
when they're weak and they don't have digestive force, it still might be too much. When you're okay, it might be fine. It's perfect, no problem. But when you have an imbalance for 20 years or 30 years, and you can't afford to go out of bounds very much because there's no more force left.
There's no more force left, yeah.
So what's happening, and again, just we're having to be mindful about how we're keeping this digestible, but just if you could give us a little summary of what's happening when I eat, say, for example, I'm having protein charges mainly like in the evening after the sun's gone down, and I'm not having it at between those times at the optimum time. What is potentially going on in the body?
Well, number one, you don't have the
Impact.
stomach acid and enzymes to process the proteins at that time. It's like the traffic light's in the wrong direction already. You're going down a one-way street in the wrong direction. So you don't have the digestive force because the circuitry's not switched that digestive process on metabolically. It's not there. So you're in a compromised state. And what's going to happen? Could be gas, could be fermentation, could be flatulence, could be stomach cramps, could be diverticulitis, could be colitis, could be irritable bowel syndrome. It could be lots of other things as a result of putting in that wrong group at that time for decades. And sleeplessness, because it will interrupt certain people's sleep. They can't sleep when they put that charge, and it's too high. I'm one of them, so I can know by experience that's not going to work long doing that strategy for me. But if I eat cream of wheat or oatmeal or I'd sleep like a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just to reiterate, with those kind of symptoms, gut-related symptoms, it's one of the things that I came to get treatment for. And I would say that I'm one of those people that, I feel like I've done all of the other practices with relation to the solar plexus and keeping that supercharged and activated, particularly yogic practices and energy work practices. But what I wasn't doing is I wasn't eating any legumes, beans, pulses, between those hours. And so even just that 20% of energy that I'm not getting from that was still having a massive impact on the solar plexus, on the third generator, and was having a huge impact on my digestion. And just from 2 months getting my test results back, I had some before and after, showed significant improvement in my digestion of protein, which was a biggie, and my digestion of starch. I couldn't tolerate any starch at all when I went to Mexico 3 months ago. I couldn't eat rice, bread, pasta. I couldn't even have a little bit. It would just completely block me up. But by the end of it, I was eating rice, pasta, and bread. And the test results came back, and the whole starch malabsorption or digestion had completely disappeared just from those 3 months of really hitting it and going mono. So the results can come really very quickly. And what we're inviting here is not necessarily to change what you eat. We do recommend eating better, having better choices if you feel this is a great opportunity to swap some things out for a better quality product. Brilliant. But actually the priority here is more about simply changing when you eat what you eat.
Right.
We have to break down the whole 5 a day stuff. Putting all a really colorful plate together is actually overloading the gut. And it's about going and taking in the single colored foods that are specifying for that charge. It's the most efficient. You'll find your whole digestion changes. What you're outputting on the other side, there'll be less waste. That was one of the things that I saw, which is I was just absorbing everything. That was a really big thing. And in the space of a week, I saw changes like that.
You have to go, my love.
I've still got 5 minutes.
Oh, you've got 5 minutes? Okay. All right. I didn't want you to be late. Okay, so let's just see, are there any other follow-up questions with regards to this? We're moving now into the sharing of the eating in time chart and the 30-day challenge. I'd love for you to bring your voice into the space if you want to unmute yourself and ask a follow-on question with regards to eating in time.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So for me, I have what is it called? So I have a history on my father's side of like colon cancer and stomach issues and like the digestive, like all in that stomach area. And so even for me, even though like I recently noticed that I started having those issues too. So what about someone who has like when you were speaking on the gut and the stomach, like mine's around like the colon area, the stomach, like how, because some foods, like if I take it, it's like I know which foods I can have and which ones I can't. And so it's like sometimes I'm afraid to even eat because I don't want to be, out working and then have my stomach, like even, the pain when it's just like excruciating. And it's like you got to calm your stomach down just to have a good day. So sometimes I used to be afraid to eat certain things and would eat really light just so my stomach wouldn't have a concern. So for example, for me, for the 8 to 9, I can't eat bananas because for me, bananas disrupts my stomach. So what would you recommend for someone who already has like concerns with their intestines or their colon area? For like, for example, the 8 to 9. And then, for example, if you wait, do you recommend now that we're getting in motion like a system that, okay, 7 a.m. we're doing our meditations and doing our doing our morning prayer, and then okay, now 8, here's your first meal, okay, now here's shower, boom, and then go to work. Like, do you want us to get a schedule like that together? Because I'm a more of a like, you show me and then I understand. So that's what I was saying, like from 8 to 9, or if let me see what you think first.
Well, I'll just come in and then I'm going to pass it over to Brooks to share more around the symptomatic aspect of the question that you shared.
Okay.
What I would say with regards to the structure is that if it would help you and if it would help anybody else to have a suggested schedule for a daily routine, I'm happy to add that onto the spreadsheet. And then you can just literally copy and paste it and amend it for yourself and move things around and whatever. But I'm really, really happy to do that if that is useful for you. I know some of you like to go a little bit more with the flow, and at the same time, an invitation of a little bit more structure might just help you to bring the charges in at the right time. But yes, once we start adding in our meditation, and then you'll be attuned to Sekhem, you'll be doing your own practice with the hands-on healing, that's going to come in at a certain point. So I'll definitely put something like that together. But generally speaking, you can fit these foods in and around your practice. I know that Brooks and I and Roop will go to the sunrise in the morning, or we'll do a sunrise practice, and straight after we'll have our coffee, we'll have our chocolate, we'll have our nuts and seeds. We'll just have that there, and as soon as we're done with that practice, we've got it on us and we have that straight away. We might then go and do a physical practice, a workout or something, and again, we get that blue charge in straight away. We might go for a walk, we come back home, we're getting that green charge in straight away. So it takes a bit of organization and planning to think about like how you're going to fit this in and around what you're doing, but you will get there. So I hope that helps, Chrissy, that I can put together a little bit of a schedule for you and you can see how that works and kind of amend it. Would that be good?
I would love that because I mean with my schedule, so for example, my shop opens at 11:11 and I know from 11:11 till 8:30 I'm like rocking and rolling. And sometimes I don't even have time to eat. So if I have my schedule and I can have it set up, I can even work my appointment times around when I have to do my charge so I don't miss out.
Great.
Cool.
And we have our beautiful assistants, Saima and Raquel, as well. So we will make ourselves available in the next week as we're all adjusting to this. So ask questions, request support. If you need to voice note any of us or jump on a quick call, we're here at this time to really help you all integrate this and make it happen so you can really enjoy experiencing what it's like to really go for this for 30 days. And so with regards to some of your symptomatic aspect of your question, Brooks, I'm going to pass that back over to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me reiterate the question that she wants solved. How to make this fluid for yourself so that you get all the charges. If you are avoiding foods because it upsets, you say your stomach, is it your stomach or is it your bowel, lower bowel?
Well, for example, I have a colonoscopy scheduled on the 23rd just because my father's side, everybody except my dad transitioned from stomach cancer. And so basically it's right there on the left side, like where it's like sometimes it's great as long as I eat. Like if I look and say, okay, I can't have bananas, I can't do this. But if I get something like a burger or something and it's like it's greased out or something like that, I know I'm like, oh boy, it's about to be a couple days before I can reset my body. So it's like my body doesn't digest certain things well. So that's why I'm looking at the chart and I was like, okay, I can have that, I can't have that. So just trying to understand timing. Yeah.
That's right. What you're going to have to do, I mean, the beginning is to understand the necessity of, it's not what you eat, it's when you eat what you eat. The timing is critical because that's when the organs have the potential to digest the food. If they get those foods out of that time too long, they don't have the capacity to break them down. That's probably why the history, because they'll say it runs in our family. What usually runs in a family is the lifestyle pattern of eating. It's not like a secret genetic pattern. It's typically especially in a family, the family's eating culturally or socially in the same way because they're all eating the same foods at the similar times. And then when it doesn't work for one, it doesn't work for many because it's really out of bounds as far as the timing. When they don't have the digestive force and they keep eating those foods at the wrong time, they all tend to have the same manifestation. So it's not like the food's the problem. They're just lacking the potential, digestive potential to break the food down. So to get around that, you eat, as Natasha said, small amounts And if you want to avoid foods because your experience is that they upset your intestine, then avoid them and replace them with another food that's in that charge. You don't have to have bananas at all. You got every fruit in the planet you can have. Any one of them. So, and you can have a very small amount, because remember, we want the charge, we don't need volume. Like, we don't need a big, huge steak to get the charge. We can have a tablespoon of beans or lentils or a little bit of hummus. We got it. It's like a key that fits in a lock and opens it and turns a circuit on. We want to activate the circuit. Does that make sense? But it's not about the volume. If someone can't digest hamburgers and they eat a 12-ounce burger with cheese and bread, no possible way. They're, like you say, they're broken for a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is to scale way back and to have another protein in that protein 1 to 3. You have fermented foods. You could have miso soup, kimchi, sauerkraut, mushrooms. You can have protein, all the proteins, eggs, dairy, yogurt, meat, fish, small amount. Like, have 3 ounces if you're going to have fish, 3 ounces of meat, and only eat that, and tell me what happens the next day. And you'll go, wow, actually it was no problem. But it's when we layer on, a bun and cheese and lettuce and tomato, all these things, and they're already don't have the capacity to digest it, and they layer on all this demand on the liver to make acid, and it's like, it's not working. It's not even on right now, and it gets this big load, and it breaks people. So it's important to scale the amount way back, and try alternative foods, because if you're a little phobic about those foods, like bananas, don't eat them. Eat anything else, a quarter of an apple, a piece of pear, whatever is in season. Stewed apples with cinnamon and a little bit of honey. Like, make it like an apple sauce. You just put a little water in a pan, cut up some apples, slow cook it till it's really soft, put some cinnamon on it, a little bit of honey, and take it to work, and you got 5 minutes, and you just eat this applesauce and go, actually, that tasted great, and I feel fantastic. Those kind of things you can implement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So there were a couple of things there that I just wanted to touch on. And, please, again, correct me, Brooks, if needs be, because I'm also, new to this. I'm a student of this. But if we're in a situation where we do have compromised health, or we are experiencing intense symptoms, or we want to correct something, and we're eating, like Brooks gave the example of a burger, we have all of these different, or another example, I'm guilty of it. When you make a salad and you put in cranberries and nuts and seeds and this and that and everything from all of the different charges of all of the different times. If that food's not eating in time, and there isn't the right electrical charge to break that food apart, then it's adding on. It's taking more energy for our digestive system, and that's when it can become depleted. Am I right in thinking that, Brooks?
Perfect.
So that's why for some of us, we will just kind of go mono and stay fairly mono. But when we've really got our symptoms in check, and we've really worked with a lot of this and recalibrated a lot of this stuff, we will find that the maintenance diet and overlapping the foods will be okay for us. And what I want to say is that it's the very act of hitting all the charges through the day, getting enough of a charge from each of the food groups, and also exposure to the environment at that time of day, to the sun and the sun's rays and the light photons and neutrinos coming into us. That over time corrects it brings all of our generators in alignment online, and it corrects our whole system. And there's something that cascades down through our system and brings that reordering of our human form, of our holographic form. It brings in that reordering, and therefore the stability And then what we'll find is that these miracles happen. We find that these signs and symptoms improve. So just as an example, in the 3-month treatment that Roop and I did, Roop had just, well, it was really in 2 intensive months. Roop had all of his allergies to food pretty much completely disappear. Since a child, he hasn't been able to eat kiwi, cucumber, mango, banana. What else? There's like 3 or 4 different fruits there. And in 2 months, simply through hitting all the charges and recalibrating his system, those allergies disappeared and he can now eat those foods. So it's more about reorganizing the system so that our body can function in an optimum way.
Yeah, it's organized electrical feeding. Those circuits have to be electrified. Those organs need the electrics to function. Without it, they're not going to function. And it doesn't matter what you eat. It's irrelevant. You'll always be sick.
So invite any other questions about this eating in time system. Please bring your voice into the space.
Yeah, I noticed, Brooks, you mentioned eating a piece of apple with some honey or cinnamon on it. So I'm just curious about, like, if I'm to have a salad, can I have a salad dressing on the salad, or does that mean no salad dressings, no salt and pepper, no spices, herbs? Like, how do those things fit into the food? And I see that at 6 to 8, we can have some natural syrups and honey, but you mentioned it over from 8 to 9. So I'm just curious about those sorts of things. Where do those fit in?
It's a good one, yeah, because we're talking, everybody's got specific needs, right? And it's always for who. When someone says, can I eat this? It's like, for who though? And when, right? Like, can we, if you're talking about you and I know you, I can get more specific. Can you handle all those things in the salad? You might go, yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me at all either. But there's other people where they're really depleted in certain charges and oversaturated in other ones. And the glass only holds so much water. You put in one more drop and it overflows. And it's like this. Can they handle those things? Maybe not. I don't know. If we're talking about you and you say, I don't even respond negatively to that at all. Like Tasha says, oh yeah, I have like Brazil nuts cooked in maple syrup with cranberries and goat cheese on my salad, and chicken breast with mustard dressing, and then and it destroys them. And another person says, oh, I digest it perfectly. We always got to know who we're talking to. What this is designed to do is, like, food is medicine when it's eaten at the right time. And if you eat foods at a time long enough, it won't matter if it's an organic salad, it'll make you sick. It'll give people diarrhea. I've seen people destroyed on green vegetables, they're destroyed. So we have to build them back up. We have to balance the body out, and we have to start eliminating things and slowly adding them in until the body builds up the digestive force to handle the load. I don't know where everybody is, right, on this. But if you say, I don't have any problem with that, then you go, okay, well, enjoy that. If you make a green drink one day, like you probably saw me drinking earlier, I take 2 bunches of cilantro, 2 bunches of parsley, 1 bunch of mint, 1 whole lemon, half a piece of cucumber, and 2 apples. And I put that in a bunch of water and put it in my Vitamix, and then I strain it and squeeze all the pulp out, and I put it in the fridge like a concentrate, and put some in ice cube trays and freeze them. And then when I want a green drink and I'm pressed for time, I throw some green ice cubes in a thermos, take it to work, put some water in it, and it melts, and I got a green drink. And I had my green charge when we were doing this whole thing. I just sipped it the whole time through, and I drank the green drink. So I got the charge. And it wasn't difficult to put the ice cubes in the thermos and a little bit of water. That was easy. And that didn't take long. I prepare all week's pre-prep in 1 hour. Like prepping, washing all my vegetables and fruits, prepping it all into Ziplocs, prepping it in 1 hour for 7 days, and that's like 50 meals. I can't go to a restaurant in an hour and get fed and walk out of there paying the bill in an hour, but I can prepare 50 meals at home because I have a little system. So it's not really difficult. It's a small little adjustment in your flow of how you shop, how you store food, how you prepare your salad. Once you know what works for you, stay in there for 30 days with these charges and try not to go out of bounds too much. And just notice what happens to the shape of your body, your sleep, your perception of the world. Watch what happens at every level, though, because it's not a diet, right? It's an electrical feeding program, organized electrical feeding, where we're feeding our body electrics in a sequence that switches on our whole metabolism to communicate. And it will adjust body weight and take care of all of the problems. Doesn't matter if you have headaches, bleeding bowels, ulcers, all of these things that are going on. In 30 days, you will see quite a massive transformation in your physical, emotional, and mental state by just consuming the electrics at the right time. We call it food, but it's basically consuming those charges at the right time. Your body's going to synchronize with nature, with the natural order of how energy moves into this world. That's really what we're doing with the food.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm hearing from you is it's more about what we do eat at what time,
Right.
less about what we don't eat at that time. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, because you could stack on if you want to gain weight. A guy's going to have a salad and hard-boiled eggs and chicken breast. He's a big guy and he wants to work out and he's out in the cold. He needs more, right? But there's people that they're not moving all the time and they don't need that amount of load. But they need the charge to activate the circuitry, but they don't need that volume of food and all those different charges, and they can't handle it. So it's always going to be specific to the person. What I say, what do you want your body for? If you say I'm a power lifter or I'm a ballerina, we're going to change some things in volume and the way we organize. But we're organizing the charges sequentially like nature. And then when we do that, the body starts working. Even hormonal cycles and menstruation, the severity, the headaches that come from it, the emotions that come around, all that stuff stabilizes from locking in the time nutrition.
Okay, so I'm just mindful of time and we're pretty much at time. And we did want to share a short meditation with you all, just to give you a practice to align with the charges and where they are, the generators and where they are. But before we do that, a really quick last shout out for any final comments from anyone with regards to how this is landing. Please drop it in the chat. Or if you have a brief comment you'd like to bring your voice into this space, we'd love to know from some of you that haven't spoken yet how this is landing for you.
I'd love to.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead, Kate.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my comment was just about the. I'm very interested in the food prep and what you do, Brooks. But I'd love to actually see what's happening in that time of the food prep. And I don't know if you could provide something or a video of how you would set these things up. I can imagine, going to the grocery store, picking certain foods according to color and charge, but then are there any hacks as to how to prepare this as fast as possible or as efficiently as possible?
Yeah, there is. I'm preparing all that for a course, but it's quite a bit of work because there's a lot of details that are going to go into that. But you're exactly in the right track when you see how simple this is. Once you have the recipe and the order, you're in business. It is quite easy because it'll be a routine, just like not eating and preparing food's a routine. This will be a routine. So there is a way that you're shopping, and there's a routine when I come home. It goes all into the sink to get washed and decontaminated. Then it gets dried, and then it gets stored and put away into Ziplocs with the meats in the fridge, the green salad and the green drinks is all done between shopping and storing 2 hours a week. And like I say, you have about 49 meals. Lot of meals prepared. So my goal is 50. This is it. No more when I'm not going mono unless I'm on a cleanse or a detox, but I have no more than 5 ingredients in a meal ever, and 15 minutes from beginning to end. That meal has to be completely done, and I'm getting all my nourishment in 15 minutes from start to finish. And I'm counting like even pepper or garlic or onions if I'm cooking that with something. So there's no more than five ingredients in 15 minutes. I've got all my nutrition. Maximum amount of time too, not minimum, maximum. Usually 10 minutes. All the proteins are done in 10. While I'm doing that, I have other things made. But that's that's about a dozen videos to put that together for sure. But you're right. When you have that, then you'll realize that this is very easy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that'll happen. We'll make sure you get access to that.
Amazing.
So I was thinking to do maybe like a little follow-on video, maybe in a few days, and I can include some of these things, hacks. Siobhan's also asked a question around like, how do I, if I'm the person that cooks the meals in the house, how do I make sure that I'm satisfying my family's needs as well as my own? I have some great ideas for you around that as well. So I could do a little follow-up video and include some of these additional things. So please put it in the Telegram chat if you have any additional little tidbits that you want information about, and we can just share from our own experience, and I can get some answers from Brooks, and then I can make a little follow-up video. I'm happy to do that. And so what we'll do is, Melanie, did you want to share something? Would love to hear your take on this, my dear. How's this landing with you?
Oh, super excited. Like very timely with like considering addictions in the family line and like it's in your DNA. So I've all constantly my whole life been navigating that. So, and mine has been more around food. So this is like perfect timing. And then also, I oftentimes in the healing communities or to like teachers, I would say, how do you have so much energy? How do you have so much energy? And I'm a projector, so I knew I'd have these sprints of energy, but I didn't know how to make that long standing. So this feels like such a great answer. It also feels like intuitively, I always knew I needed to eat small meals all day long. And then there was this like, well, 5 meals a day. So this just feels like this is like, oh, this is the answer to, because the 5 meals a day did work. It still didn't though, like click in to giving me the energy that I was looking for. So this just feels like the answer I've been looking for. So super grateful is how.
Yeah, well, it'll work for you for sure. If that's what you experience, your intuition's right. It was just they're missing the timing. The intention's good, but the timing, well, you know that timing's everything. It's a literal phrase that's true. Timing is everything. It's not what you're eating, it's when. You can't have coffee at midnight if you want to sleep. And it doesn't mean coffee's bad. It means that that's the absolute wrong time. So when we understand it gets way more particular about the charge and the time, we start to see the whole body change in the mind and the emotions because we balance the chemistry. We balance the electrical system. We've nourished the body, and now the body's in a happy place, and everything seems to be okay, coincidentally.
Wonderful. Okay, so whatever else hasn't been answered, I will endeavor to download the chat and get the questions answered, even if it's like an audio note from myself or from Brooks. And maybe Brooks will just keep a little eagle eye also on the chat over the next few days in the Telegram group for questions and things like that. And yeah, I'm so excited for everybody to experience this. And remember, we're doing this all together. So if you find a hack, if you figured out a really cool, sneaky thing, please let us know. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it. So the invitation, just to be clear, is for us to go as mono as we can every day for 30 days. We are still inviting you to wake up with the sun and to do your morning meditation as close to waking up as you can. And we'll be having Sekhem initiations in a couple of weeks where you'll be attuned to the Sekhem and channel of energy. And energetically, you're going to start to feel different. And when we have the Sekhem weekend immersion, we're going to go into the specifics around working with the Sekhem energy, the hands-on healing, how we channel the energy, what we're doing internally, and all of this is going to help it make so much more sense. So we'll go into our meditation. I respect that we've already gone over by 7 minutes. So if you have to leave, I get that. That's okay. But Brooks, are you going to guide us into a short meditation on the generators?
Yeah, let's do that one. That's a good ending.
Great. Okay.
Tell me when you're ready.
Whenever you're ready. I'm ready.
Okay, everybody just close your eyes, straighten your spine, get comfortable, and take 3 deep breaths all the way from your feet to your top of your head, breathing into the belly, into the diaphragm. And as you exhale, notice the relaxation come across your face, your forehead, your cheeks, your neck, your chest. And drain back into the earth. And as you take another breath, bring it all the way up to the top of your head. And as you exhale slowly through your nose, feel everything drain out of you down through your torso and your thighs and your calves and your feet into the earth. One more breath, nice and deep. And let everything go, your shoulders, your hands, your jaw, your legs, your knees even, and your toes. Now breathing into the belly on the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. And just resume normal breathing. Letting your body go deeper or relaxed. Now shift your awareness down to your pubic bone and imagine the color red. Inhale all the way up to the top of your head and say out loud 6 times, red, 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 red. Inhale into your belly button and visualize the color green. Inhale, exhale, green, 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 green. Excellent. To your solar plexus, visualize the color yellow. Inhale. As you exhale, yellow, 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 yellow. Move your awareness to your heart and visualize the color white. Inhale. As you exhale, white, 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 white. Put your attention on the throat. Inhale. Visualize the color blue, electric blue. Blue, 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 blue. Put your attention on your third eye. Visualize the color orange. Inhale. orange, 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 orange. Put your attention on the back of the head at the crown and visualize the color purple. Inhale. Purple, 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 purple. Relax the body. Push your attention back down to the first generator and just visualize the color red. Move your awareness to your belly button and visualize the color yellow. Green, sorry, green. Like an emerald green. Move your attention to your solar plexus and visualize the color yellow. Move your attention to the heart chakra and visualize the color white. Move your awareness to the throat and visualize the color electric blue. Move your awareness to your third eye. See the color orange. Move your attention to the crown and see the color purple. Move your awareness back down to the bottom and see the color red. And remember the charge electric thermic red. Move your attention to the belly button and see the color green, electrokinetic. Move your attention to the solar plexus. See the color yellow, electromagnetic. Move your attention to the heart. See the color white, electric neutral. Move your attention to the throat. See the color blue, electroluminous, cold light. Move your attention to the third eye. See the color orange, electrostatic, or distensory energy moving out from the center, expanding. Move your attention to the crown. See the color purple, electropulsing energy. One more time, visualize the first generator, red. The second generator, green. The third generator, yellow. The fourth generator, white. The fifth generator, blue. The sixth generator, orange. The seventh generator, purple. Stand in front of your body, outside of yourself with your awareness, and look at your generators all shining brightly. And walk back into your body, turn around, and look out from the third eye. Take a deep breath from your feet all the way to the top of your head. Exhale, and when you're ready, just open your eyes. And notice how calm you feel. how relaxed you feel. And carry that forward with you for the rest of the day. You might notice some pulsing, a sense of energy radiating off you. You might feel energized, or you might feel calm. Just observe what happens. There's no right or wrong, just observe. And thank you for the opportunity to share that with you.
So feel free to come back into the space when you're ready. Thank you, Brooks. So grateful for you and your teachings and the teachings from this lineage, Infinite Quantum. In deep gratitude to all of our teachers, all of our guides, all of the support that we have around us. In deep gratitude to our ancestors that have held a vision that we would be here one day, and to the ancestors of the land that we're all on. In deep gratitude to the wisdom keepers and to the role that we all play in carrying forward these wisdom teachings, and to all those that have brought them forward, and to those 7 generations in the future that will hold the integrity of these teachings too. We honor you also. Thank you to all of you. And just a little reminder from Raquel in the chat that please look out for an email from Raquel from her own email about attunement dates and your buddy pairs. If you haven't already come into communication with your buddy, please do. It's such an important and beautiful part of the program. And book in your attunements. You're all going to have a personal 1-hour ceremony with me as part of this program, which is why it has to be such a small curated program, because of the attunement and also receiving your guru mantra for the meditation. So please get back to us on that. And we thank you so much. Feel free to unmute yourself and bring your voice and energy into the space before we leave.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tash. Thanks, Brooks.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful day, darling.
Say goodbye to Roop for us.
Yes, he's off already, but I'll send my regards to him. Bye-bye, my loves.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Brooks.
You're welcome,
You're welcome.
Siobhan.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brooks. Thank you, Natasha, Roop.
Bye.
Happy birthday, Shannon. She's still here.
Have a good sleep.
Thank you.
Bye, Chrissy. Thank you, my dear.